In 1912, Wilfrid Voynich was traveling in Italy when he came across a bundle of books that were being sold by a group of Jesuits. In desperate need of money, the Jesuits were discreetly selling off some of their valuable treasures. Being a bookworm himself, Wilfrid couldn't pass up the chance to purchase some of these interesting manuscripts, and ended up buying 30 of them. What he didn't know is that one of the manuscripts that he held in his hand would become one of the world's greatest mysteries. The book itself appears to be an illustrated codex filled with drawings of alien plants, naked people, strange objects, and zodiac symbols. All of the writing in the book is completely undecipherable, being written in an impossible code or a made-up language. The vellum it was written on has been carbon dated to the early 15th century, and it is believed to have been composed during the Italian Renaissance. This strange and alien book is known today as the Voynich Manuscript. Much of the early history of the book is completely unknown, though the drawings and writings are all characteristically European. In 2009, researchers at the University of Arizona performed radiocarbon dating on the manuscript and found that it was created sometime between 1404 and 1438. Another group of researchers in Westmont, Illinois, found that the paints that were used in the manuscript were made of materials that were common in Europe during the 15th century. The first confirmed owner of the manuscript was George Baresch, a 17th century alchemist and antique collector from Prague. Baresch referred to the books as a sphinx and said that it was taking up space uselessly in his library for many years. He learned of a Jesuit scholar named Athanasius Kircher from the Roman College, who claimed he had deciphered the ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. Baresch sent 2 samples of the book to Kircher in Rome, seeing if he could make any sense of this mysterious book. Baresch's 1639 letter to Kircher is the earliest confirmed mention of the manuscript to date. It is not known if Kircher ever answered the request to translate the book, but he was apparently very interested in the book enough to try and purchase it from Baresch. Baresch declined, and the book stayed with him until his death in 1662, where it was then passed on to his friend Jan-Marek Marci, who was a senior official of Charles University in Prague. Ironically, Marci was a longtime friend of Kircher, and sent him the mysterious manuscript in the year 1666, along with a cover letter that read, "This book, bequeathed to me by an intimate friend, I destined for you. And as soon as it came into my possession, I was convinced that it could be read by none other than yourself." No record of the book was recorded for 200 years after that. Many scholars speculate that the book was stored in the Roman College, and remained there until Victor Emmanuel II of Italy captured the city in 1870 and annexed it. The new Italian government confiscated many properties of the church, including the library of the college. Fortunately, many books of the university were hastily gathered up by faculty before the new government had moved in, and included in these gathered up books was the Voynich Manuscript. This is known because the Voynich Manuscript still bears the bookplate of Petrus Beck's, who was the university's rector at the time. Beck's private library was moved to a large country palace in Italy that had been bought by the Society of Jesus in 1866, and became the headquarters of the Jesuits' Ghislaeri College. In 1903, the Society of Jesus was short of money, and decided to sell off some of its books to the Vatican Library. The sale was finally approved in 1912, but not all of the manuscripts for sale ended up going to the Vatican. This is how Wilfrid Voynich came into contact with it, which brings our story to a full circle. When Voynich passed away, it went to his wife Ethel Voynich, and she left the book to her close friend Anne Nill in her will. Nill sold the book to an antique book dealer named Hans P. Krauss in 1961, and Krauss donated it to Yale University in 1969, where it sits today. Even today, this 600-year-old mystery continues to stump scholars, cryptographers, and scientists from around the world. The 240-page medieval codex simply cannot be decoded, and the meaning and origin of the book remain a mystery. The illustrations in the book divide it into 6 unique sections: herbal, astronomical, balneological, cosmological, pharmaceutical, and a recipe section. The herbal section displays 1 or 2 plants per page and a few paragraphs of text. This format was very typical of European herbalists of the time. None of the plants in the manuscript are identifiable though, and resemble nothing like we have on Earth. The astronomical section contains circular diagrams and even contained drawings of suns, moons, and stars. One series of 12 diagrams depicts symbols that are typically used for the zodiac constellations. The third section is the balneological section, which is the study of baths and bathing. Most of the illustrations in this section show nude women, some wearing crowns, bathing in pools connected by a series of elaborate pipes. The cosmological section contains more circular diagrams that are a little bit more obscure. This section also contains a few fold-out pages, one of which spans 6 pages. It contains a map with 9 islands that contain castles and volcanoes. The pharmaceutical section has many labeled drawings of plant parts and objects resembling apothecary jars. The final section is dubbed the recipe section because it contains full pages of text broken into small paragraphs marked with a star in the left margin. And again, none of this text is decipherable. Many scholars agree that the manuscript was meant to serve as a guide to medieval medicine, and some believe that Voynich made the entire thing up for popularity. But how would that explain the carbon dating of the paper? Could the entire thing be a medieval joke? Or does it have a legitimate purpose? Many call this book the most mysterious book in the world, and for good reason. What do you think it means? Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time in the Library of the Bizarre.